This podcast is not affiliated with any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous antics and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and should be dismissed immediately.
And welcome to episode 36 of Studio 357 Masonic Podcast. We're very happy you're with us. If you're watching, you notice something different. If you're listening, I hope you hear something different. We are testing out some new microphones, so bear with us for a couple episodes while we get that figured out.
We're all bougie now.
I don't know about bougie, but we're definitely stepping up our game, that's for sure. We did something different this episode, which is why we're talking to you now instead of during the actual show. We drove down to Belton, Missouri, which is about 3.5 hours from here. And it is the lodge where there's two lodges that merged, and Harry Truman started one of the lodges. And I think he was raised in the other one. I'm not 100% sure how that happened. I think we talk about that during the show.
Yeah.
My memory is not very good, so you'll have to bear with us on that. We will be posting some pictures on socials. We got some good pictures down there. Shout out to our show sponsors, our Patreon supporters. 100% we would not have these microphones without you guys. I do want to let everybody know, which if you follow us on our socials, you do know, but we're going to go back to our humble beginnings, and May 17th, we're going to sit around the fire and talk masonry. However, now we're going to have a camera and microphones in our face. We have some past guests, some future guests. They're going to come and sit with us. We are going to have some celebrity podcasting call-in guests. There's no secret. It's going to be Jim Hall is going to give us a call during that show and say hi to everyone, and so is Brother Samuel from the Third Degree Masonic Podcast. So that should be fun. Just go to YouTube and search at Studio 357 Podcast if you're not already on our channel. And then we will have a live question and answer session on there. It may run the whole show, just kind of depends on how bogged down the system gets with questions. But that should be fun. You can get real-time answers. Please, only relatively clean and relevant questions.
Yeah, keep it somewhat PG.
Let's go 14 plus.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing any weird crap. Well, we probably will be, but that's besides the point. So anyways, we hope you like this episode. It was really fun to go down there. It kind of does end abruptly because we were really crunched for time, and we got to the end and they were getting ready to present a 50-year pin in the very space that we were in. So we kind of had to wrap it up quick and get out of there. But we hope you like it. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you like the new sound. Hopefully you do, because we spent a lot of money on it, and I think it's here to stay. So
yeah,
hope it comes out good. Anyways, love the episode. We'll talk to you guys on the other side.
See ya.
At Homeward Handyman Services, we pride ourselves on being honest and giving every job the attention it deserves. Owned and operated by a master mason with 2 decades of expertise in home repair. We are bonded and insured, and we carry the highest standards when it comes to taking care of your home. Whether you need a faucet changed or a light remodel, we can take care of your home improvement needs. Call Michael at 402-915-0824 today for a free estimate. All right, we are here in Belton Grandview Lodge in Belton, Missouri. We
had a trip from Omaha. A couple of brothers were coming down for breakfast, and we decided we were going to come down too, enjoying some food and fellowship, and interview a couple of brothers while we're down here. So we have with us, Right Worshipful Brother Kelly Mercer, Brother Ed Harris, and Right Worshipful Brother Jeffrey Boyce. So if you could all kind of introduce yourselves real quick and give us maybe your titles and how long you've been a Mason.
Again, Kelly Mercer. I am past District Deputy Grand Master, past District Deputy Grand Lecturer, current Regional Grand Lecturer for Region C, and I joined in 2012.
I'm Brother Ed Harris, and currently Senior Warden of Belton Grandview, and I've been in, 8 years? Something in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Awesome.
I am Jeffrey Boyce, past DDGM, past master of the Belton Grandview Lodge, number 450. I had the auspicious chance of being the master of Belton Lodge when Belton Grandview joined. And so it was the last month of my term. We joined, changed our names, and then Brother Mercer took over and was the master after that. So,
Awesome. And a 20-year Marine Corps vet.
and a 20-year Marine Corps vet.
Hoorah. All right. Well, you got anything? I think you've had a couple of questions you've wanted to ask.
Well, the real reason for this trip, in the peanut gallery, we do have members of Nebraska Lodge 1, of Mitzvah, and Plattsmouth. But the real reason we're down here is Sean Reed lined this trip up, and we're really thankful that he did. We take this opportunity, but it was a great idea. There are many important things about this lodge, but the most important surrounds Harry Truman. So as a student of history, I love to hear about it. This is actually my second trip to the lodge. So we would like to hear a little bit of the history of the lodge. How does it tie in with President Truman, and just some little facts that you can give us about the lodge.
Do you want me to go?
Go for it.
So, Brother Truman took his degrees in Belton Lodge. And then when he got up to Grand Master and everything, he started Grandview Lodge because at that time he didn't have a vehicle, so he couldn't make his trip from Grandview down to here, especially at nighttime. So that's when he wanted to start Grandview Lodge. But he took his degrees here in Belton Lodge, not at this actual location. And this location actually is, I think the cornerstone was 1963, but we've been chartered since 1872.
Okay.
So we do actually have a copy of his petition downstairs. I don't know if y'all saw that or not, hang on the wall, but.
I did last time, but we will again.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I took when I went out to Washington, D.C., I went to a lodge out there and I took a copy of it. I got it. Grand Lodge has our original copy in the library up there at Grand Lodge, but I had them make me up a real nice copy and they framed it and everything so I could take it to D.C. out there. So they could have a little bit of Truman out there themselves.
Very
So
nice.
they put it in their display case, but that's basically just how Truman came to, how this is all deal. So when Grandview was looking to merge because of membership dying down, they went to several of the lodges and they came to us and we were just like, 2 Truman lodges makes sense, let's do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice.
Now you left out the good part. The shovel out front is one
yeah.
It says that he's used to turn the first spade of dirt for the lodge. I don't know if that's really true or not, but we do have the shovel out front where the first spade was done.
And somewhere around here, we have pictures of the cornerstone being set.
Yep.
That is very cool.
Yeah. We'll throw pictures of that shovel on our socials.
Yeah, I would definitely have it on the site so everybody can see.
And didn't he attend lodge here while he was president?
He did, and the one, you all maybe know about this, maybe don't. Whenever Truman would go into a lodge, his Secret Service was not allowed to come in because they had to carry the guns and everything. He ended up making some of them become Masons so they could actually come in. But
Very nice.
all hearsay, but stories that I've heard, that, yeah, he was telling people that he's safer in here with us than he is out there. And I think that's pretty cool. That says something.
Yeah, it's a pretty widespread story. You know.
I've heard the same. And
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, it's true.
Well, it has to
I
be.
think
It's
his
on the internet.
grandson actually said that at our Grand Lodge, that breakfast that he had when he was talking about the book and stuff.
And, I didn't make that meeting, but Some says that I did hear something about that now. You say that.
So that would also lead me into another question, and feel free to answer as you like. But what kind of connections do you still have? Do you still are there brothers that remember President Truman that actually spent time with him? Do you have any contact with family? Like,
The last ones in the photo have passed away.
I think all the members that would remember being in lodge with him have passed away. I know that my grandfather was a member of Templegate Lodge down in the city, and he actually sat in lodge with him once.
Oh.
But he's passed away for a few years now. But I don't think that any of our members.
I think all ours have passed away, and I know the ones that were in the photo have all passed away since then.
I was gonna say, I know Truman in Kansas City. I don't know very many lodges that don't have at least once or twice that he showed up at their lodge.
Mm-hmm.
He was everywhere when he was alive.
But as far as connections, I don't think that we really have any connections anymore with anything of him or his family right now, other than the Grand Lodge, of course.
Yeah, because after his presidency, he moved to Independence, and so he lived up in Independence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's got some cool stories that his grandson told about Independence too, but those we won't put on there because little vulgarity was used by Truman when, and the guy that came up to his front door with a flat tire.
So have you noticed any membership coming in, or people curious because Truman was a member?
100%.
That's awesome.
That was one of the reasons I chose this lodge to put my petition in at. There were more important reasons. This is where my wife works with the Rainbow Girls that work here and things like that. But beyond that, it's like just the little back of my mind that's like, well, this was Harry's lodge. This is got a little historic kicker,
Mm-hmm.
I personally didn't know nothing about it whenever I joined, but when I did, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is probably okay with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever I married my wife, I'm a Mason because of a Rainbow Girl. I married my wife, and she was already an active leader in Rainbow. And, so being her husband, I was automatically drawn into this. And I was cooking breakfasts for the Rainbow Girls at Grandview Lodge before the merger. So, they had all of the Grandview history there. And, I knew people that were in lodge with him there at, various times. But it wound up just being that whenever he came back into, or Grandview moved back in here, and, the paths, divided and then merged back to here, it just seemed very logical that the history is here. And I kind of enjoy being around it.
Yeah.
sounds almost like I'm a newer Mason. I was raised in August, so I don't have a long history, but it would seem anytime you would merge lodges, there could be some awkwardness, but it sounds like in this case, it just made perfect sense.
Oh, there was a lot of awkwardness.
There was awkwardness.
Yeah.
Okay.
There always is.
Yeah.
What that is, and what Masons in general, because more lodges seem to be merging or need to merge, it's a pride thing. And what Masons need to do is get rid of their pride in what's best for the fraternity instead of you or your lodge. And that's what I promote all the time, and that just needs to happen more often. People need to put their pride aside and do what's best for the fraternity.
That's a great point.
So we talk a lot on our show about cultures of lodges. My lodge personally is we're centered more on brotherhood. Some are more on ritual. Some are more on fundraising and charitable stuff. So what's kind of the general feel here?
We do a lot of work on our ritual, but a lot of that's our regional grand lecturers usually sit over here. We've had a series and a long-term relationship with regional grand lecturers and district deputy grand lecturers in the room with us when we're doing our regular lodge work. So it's something we've had the Bronze Award God knows how many years in a row, and we need to work even more on it. I know I'm horrible.
But as far, I think we're pretty diverse.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
one,
good.
it's not set on one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We try to, the charity work, the brotherhood,
Yeah.
the ritual, it's a mixture of stuff. And a lot of us do things outside of here,
Yeah.
and talk and chat. So, you
Yeah.
know,
We've got scholarships that we present at 3 different high schools locally. We do fundraising. I've been in charge of the golf tournament the last couple of years, and I think we're up to the last 3 tournaments gave, I think, $11,000 to local charities
Wow.
using the Masonic homes matching funds in addition
Nice.
to ours. We do the breakfasts here, and that's as much a fundraiser for our temple board as it is an outreach to the community. A $5 breakfast is hard to beat. We're
Yeah.
not in an affluent neighborhood. People
great
could use
attendance.
a cheap
Great breakfast, and the room was packed down
Yeah.
there. So
I think we were a little over 80 members, or 80 people showing up today for breakfast. That's
outstanding.
We're averaging in the 70s. Yeah,
we are at almost 100 as well.
almost 100.
yeah,
Yeah,
almost
awesome.
100 today.
And the nice thing about the breakfast too, it kind of gave us another outlook to have our face out in front of the public, and the public get to know us. We get the sign out, they see us. Used to, Belton would let us do boot blocks, and we enjoyed doing the boot blocks up by the intersections of the main highways in town, because then you can get out and talk to folks, and they're like, "Well, what do you do?" And you can tell them about the charities we support. You can tell them about the work we do throughout town, how we help other brothers, how we help in widows and orphans, and just get out there in front of them and let them know what's happening. And that was great. And then the city took out all boot blocks, said it was a traffic hazard.
safety.
So,
Safety.
okay, that's fine. So now we have our breakfast, so we just bring them in. So then they come and ask questions, and we're able to answer it while they're in our breakfast and in our lodge hall.
And I don't know if y'all noticed while you're down there eating breakfast, but all of us that are up here working and everything, the brotherhood, the crap that we talk to each other and having fun is one of the most enjoyable things. All of us actually look forward to coming up here on the 3rd Saturday to do this, because we get to just relax instead of being in lodge conducting the business and all that. So it's a good time. We crack on each other, but we all know it's in good fun. Nobody ever goes overboard or.
Yep. Yeah, we say quite often that, lodge is where you get the bills paid, but masonry happens outside of the lodge.
Yeah, this is where masonry is happening. So that's
It's in your
that's
heart.
Yeah.
Masonry's in your heart. It's not in this building. So it's just the people.
That's
what
part
you
of the
do.
ritual. Yeah.
So how many members are there in the lodge, and how are the demographics? How they,
Right now, I'm as well as senior warden duty. I've wound up getting to be assistant secretary because I'm one of the computer literate ones. But I think our total membership is a little over 100,
okay.
of which we scatter from Oregon to Key West.
Wow.
Most of which a lot of which nobody's ever met. Then they actually joined here. Belton used to be on the edge of Richards Gebaur Air Force Base. And it's subsequently closed down and gone away. But we had a large military complement of members.
Sure.
And after their years are over, they scatter out. So we wind up with members just scattered all over the country.
We've had quite a few pass, in the past 12 years, we've had quite a few members pass away.
Yeah.
Struggling to get new membership, but I think that's
Happening,
pretty
that's
much
happening everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere,
it
yeah.
is.
We just had a brother pass this last month. Most worshipful brother Charles Weatherman. He was the Grand Master of Japan in 1973.
Whoa.
Wow.
And when I talked with Grand Lodge about it, our Grand Secretary was stunned that he had passed away because he was initially confused because the Grand Master of Japan had just passed away previously. We had two of them in the western part of Missouri.
Really?
Wow.
And most worshipful Brother Weatherman was Grand Master of Japan in 73, and the other fellow, I never caught his name, was in the 80s.
Wow.
And it's-
What are the chances of that?
Yeah, that's so completely random. But
Really nice guy.
Right.
Really
He
nice
was.
guy. He was just down to earth and everything, so.
It's just, we have just a huge variety of members and interests. But I think one of the things that our current Grand Master is deeply into is doing service in the community. And that's one of the things that, we were talking about, kind of outreach and being seen in the community. I think that he's implemented 4 Masonic service days. Ours is coming up July 12th. But he's sending Masons out in the region to do service in the public and, so people see us
Yes.
as well as us doing the work.
Yeah.
Because our membership needs people to know what we are, what we do.
And so we've talked about that in a lot of episodes about how we're not being visual enough. We're not
Yeah.
being out there enough. We're not hiding ourselves. But
Everyone knows our name. Nobody knows what we do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's wonderful.
Some of them don't have any idea and think entirely the wrong things about what we do.
Right.
Yeah. Would you say, producer guy, we had about 4 minutes? 12.
Oh, we've got plenty of time.
Oh, we have plenty of time, yeah.
We've been blazing through this.
So on the way up here, we were kind of talking. One of the questions, I'm curious. So my mother lodge is Nebraska number 1. It is the oldest
Is
lodge.
it the oldest
It's
lodge?
the oldest lodge in the state of Nebraska. That is our claim to history. We predate statehood in Nebraska, but we don't have anyone as famous as a member as Harry Truman. So I'm curious, from your standpoint, is that something that comes up often in lodge? Is it something you think about, or is it just normal lodge's business, and then you get a bunch of guys come in from Nebraska asking questions about it?
Normal lodge's business, and we get a bunch of guys from Nebraska asking about it.
Reason being because Harry said that his proudest accomplishment wasn't being president, wasn't even being Grand Master, it was just being a brother.
Yeah.
And so, why pump it all up when he wouldn't have done it himself? Now, are we proud of it? Well, sure. I think any lodge would be.
Oh, definitely.
We do have people come in and look at becoming a Mason because Harry Truman.
But as far as bringing it up all the time, nah.
I do get a lot of online guys, I think, that
Yeah.
look it up and they'll see it and then they say, oh, so then they'll put their feeler out, and so we invite them
Yeah.
to breakfast and stuff like that so they can come see the lodge. And we give tours of the lodge to those that are potential candidates or just want to kind of get their nose in and see what it looks like. So, okay, here's what the lodge looks like. So we give them tours after breakfast sometimes and
Nice.
keep them informed.
Yeah. All right, producer, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more.
Your one-stop Masonic marketplace. You are the hero of this journey. We want to proudly stand behind you every step of the way. We want to enable you to go the extra mile in your Masonic travels. We want you to look your very best on every occasion. Investing in high-quality regalia shouldn't be a burden. We know you want to be better. We know you want to make a difference. We don't think you should compromise. Be your best. Visit bricksmasons.com today.
And we're back. It's like we never left. All right, we'll start, Kelly, with you. What brought you into Masonry, and how long have you been a Mason?
Been a Mason since 2012, and my grandfather was a Mason. I had great-grandfathers, great-uncles that were Masons that I didn't know about until I actually became a Mason. But growing up, I can remember my grandfather studying his cipher to go through the chairs and everything. Didn't know what it was about. I could just remember it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one day as a kid, him being old school, you shake hands with somebody, and I asked him one day when I was young. I was under 13. I wasn't even a teenager yet. I was probably maybe 10, 11, somewhere in that area. And we had done something. I shook his hand. I was like, Grandpa, I was like, what is this whole Mason thing? And he kind of just told me a little bit, real quick. And I was like, well, how do you know another Mason? He goes, well, you should have known right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I just shook your hand. Right? So right off the bat, he's prepping me, basically.
Yeah.
So it took me till I was about 42 years old. Had to get all my running out of my system and everything, but I'd always thought about it because it just was there in my life.
Right.
So one day I sat down and I got done mowing his yard and I said, let me talk to you about this Mason thing, Grandpa. And he was excited. I can still picture his face. He was, hot dog, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I was like, whoa, slow down there. I was like, I just want to ask you some questions.
You said the magic word.
Yeah, I did. And he was old school, so he didn't ask. You needed to ask it, and I'm still that way. I will not ask somebody to be a Mason. I want them to come to me. If they come to me, that tells me that they're interested.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, it was my grandfather, knowing what kind of man he was, and seeing some of the people growing up. My family was all, my mom, my aunt, they were all in the Star, past worthy matrons. My grandmother was a representative of Arkansas, so going to all the dances, all the cookouts and everything, at the temples. I've always been around it. So that's what got me interested in it. And when I finally was mature enough, I said, let's do this. And I wish I had done it sooner. I think it would have matured me a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But everything happens when it's supposed to happen. So.
All right.
Yeah, I'm the weird one. I married into Masonry. Like I said, my wife is a rainbow girl. She went through rainbow with her mother being a rainbow leader, and my father was a Mason. My grandfather was a Mason, but they were Masons in the generation where Catholics didn't join Masonry. And I was told flat out that I couldn't be a Mason because I was Catholic. I found out that isn't exactly true.
Right.
But that's what they were told at the time.
Sure.
And my grandmother on my dad's side was Eastern Star. She was state leadership, but I'm not sure which state she was in because they were border town on the Kansas-Missouri border. And I know for a fact they did about half of their work in lodges in Missouri, even though they lived in Kansas. Grandfather was a Shriner and trained parade horses for the Shriners down in southeast or southwest Missouri, Kansas area. But like I say, I always saw that just from the distance, from the outside.
Right.
Yeah. When I married my wife, she was heavily involved in Rainbow in Grandview. They eventually moved to Belton, so I wound up joining here in Belton. But I was, of course, being the new husband, wound up just, they're cooking their breakfast. They need a hand. I'm helping, and just kept getting drawn into things one after the next. And
took him a couple of years to join, but
I had to clear out enough of the things in my life that were taking all of my time.
To add more things that are taking all of your time.
That I could even give Masonry an honest chance.
Right.
Yeah.
I had matured enough to realize my life was full already. I couldn't join anything else until I got out of a couple things because I was already deep.
That's a wise decision.
And it's really, if you don't have enough time to devote it, I'm not sure you're going to get as much out of it.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's actually,
But like I said, I wound up, having, friends that were not only, Masons, but strong Masons. My first line signer is Morris downstairs, who's getting his 50-year pin today. My second line signer was Right Worshipful Richard Reapy, who's one of our state or grand chaplains, and a brother blacksmith as well that I was running around with doing one of my other hobbies, doing blacksmithing, and he's heavily in commandery and all of the York Rite work. But 8 years ago, I finally got enough things cleared out of my life to where I could give Masonry a chance and started joining up and
Very nice.
started getting better at saying no.
Yeah, that's an art form.
I'm still working on it. Still working on
where
it.
you can learn. No.
Yep.
It's a tough one. I've worked a long time in my life trying to figure out how to do it better.
Yeah, you have experience with that.
Yeah, I'm working. No, I'm not working on it. I still haven't said no.
Yeah.
Thus, I'm here.
Right after I got into Masonry, I was working with the Rainbow Girls. I run their sound system for their grand assembly every year. And the previous year, they had gone to their national convention in Baltimore, and I was the only male on the trip. So I wound up being the interpreter between the girls and the bus driver. So as soon as I became a Mason, within a month, they had given me the Grand Cross of Color, which is their honorary award that they can leash adults into Mason or into the rainbow working. And yeah, they had a job for me. And subsequently last year, I actually ran sound at Grand Lodge of Missouri as well.
They had a job for you before you became a Mason.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Where is Grand Lodge held?
In previous years, it was last couple of years. It's been in St. Charles, Missouri.
Okay,
This year, it's here in Kansas City.
nice.
It's going to be at the Sheraton Crown Center Hotel in downtown Kansas City, and I forget the dates, but it's going to be in late September.
Okay,
Like the third Monday of September.
Originally, I believe it was always held in St. Louis, and then they moved to Columbia for several years. Now they are basically every 3 years they're moving it around the state.
Yeah.
gotcha.
So it's Kansas City for 3 years, and then I think the next 3 years after that will be down in the Springfield, Joplin area.
Okay.
The nice part about it when we had it in Columbia, Grand Lodge has its office in the Grand Lodge building up there. So you could go up and see the Grand Lodge building,
Yeah.
go see artifacts, go see the stuff with the history of Masonry in Missouri. And so it was up there in the Columbia area, which made it nice, centralized in the state. And then they kind of came in with new motifs saying, well, let's move it around, let's go other places.
Yeah.
And so then they started moving it 3 years St. Louis, 3 years Kansas City, and who knows where the next 3 will be.
Springfield, Joplin.
It's going to be Springfield, Joplin.
And conveniently, this year our Grand Master is from a town about 20 miles over on the Kansas City area in Lee Summit. So
Okay.
he gets to have his grand session here pretty much
Nice.
in his hometown. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, Jeffrey.
I joined Freemasonry in 2004. Got into it mainly because I had a couple of friends that were at church and they were Masons and they put forth a good front and showed me that brotherly love. And I got really into talking with them and getting good with them. And they kind of asked, hey, what is this? And they said, oh, glad you asked. Let us give you a petition. I'm like, oh, whoa. So,
People did.
so then I found out about it and I said, okay, sure. And I talked to the wife and I went ahead and joined then. But I was one of those, was not a jump into the lodge and go full bore. Like a lot of these guys, we bring them in and the next session they're in a chair and they're running the chairs. I took my time. I was partial visitor to the lodge after I joined. I'd show up 1 month, one meeting, and miss the next meeting because something would come up. So I had to work myself into it, saying, "Oh, we meet twice a month." So got in there if I was coming every month, and then sat on the sidelines, enjoyed the masonry, enjoyed camaraderie, until one day we had practice. And we used to have a study club, and they do study club, but we were coming up on a 3rd degree. And that's when I'm sitting on the sideline, and Right Worship Brother George Burial says, "Hey, we need somebody to fill in for the 3rd ruffian. Get over here." And I'm like, okay. And so I got in there and filled in for the 3rd ruffian. They kind of walked me through it. And ever since then, I've been active, ended up running the chairs, ended up being master of the lodge, and then getting selected to become district deputy grand master. And I served that for 4 years, and had a good time doing it. And Brother Mercer and I were hoping we'd both be there at the same time so we could be right worship together, traveling through and doing the L work and G work and being together. But it didn't work out. He came a couple of years after I did because our other DDGL stayed in longer. I didn't get out too soon. George just didn't get out soon enough.
So do you think that was the right call, not jumping into line right away, or would you do it differently?
It helped me out because I learned a lot more about it because I actually took my time sitting on the sidelines like, oh, then I'd ask questions. Why are y'all doing that? And so I kind of learned stuff that way, where I think sometimes when you get in and you get a chair, they're worried about ritual. They're worried about doing the floor work. They're worried about what am I supposed to do next? And then this, when we were larger numbers before COVID, you were worried about, oh my gosh, I got to take care of this for the lodge. And so I think they didn't have the time to concentrate on their self to saying, okay, what do I really need to do? What am I really learning as a Mason?
Couldn't see the tree through the forest.
How many members have we had just since you and I started going through the chairs that have actually joined, got overwhelmed and dropped out?
Yes.
Several. So taking your time is 100%. I have told all of them, take your time.
Told me.
Because, I mean, you all have probably seen it too. It happens. You jump in because you're excited, you want to do it, and then next thing you know, I'm burnt out.
Yeah, it's called a journey for a reason.
Exactly. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Take your time. Ask questions, learn, sit on that sideline for a couple of years. Just do get on a committee or something. If you want to be involved.
But be careful. Sometimes when you get on those committees, after you get off, they give you a year gap and they put you back on that committee, and you might end up being president of a temple board 4 different times while you're still a member of the Mason. Even treasurer a couple of times, the treasurer of the lodge. I'm like, oh my goodness. You have to kind of be careful. Get those committees going, but try to encourage other people to go.
Skill at the word no.
Would you all not agree with that though? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
How long have you been in now, you said?
Not even a year. I was. It's coming up next week was when I was initiated. So I
Happy early anniversary.
Yeah,
well, thank you. I'm going to try not to burn out, but in the same token, I'm in that boat. I'm loving every minute of this. I'm in everything. I did jump right in line. I'm senior deacon. So, but and in fact, we talked about it recently that I just did the first middle chamber stair lecture. So I've jumped in with both feet, loving it. But I hear that and I take that to heart. I don't want to get too burned out.
I like you. I like the ritual part of it. I know the laws. I don't know all of them. That's not my thing. I'm the ritualist. I love it. 6 months in, junior deacon was missing. I sat down and asked me to sit in there. I was hooked. I was like, I like this stuff. So,
and to me, it's the challenge. I wanted to prove that I could do it, and I did it. I don't know how well I did it, but I did it. So, and I constantly getting better. I know I did good. But I could have done better. I'm going to do better. All right.
I mean, none of us are going to be perfect.
Right. And that's the whole point.
The words can be dead perfect, and then not be conversational, and fluid. It isn't right yet.
Right.
If you're getting a message across, that's the most important thing.
Yes.
I mean, really, in my opinion, and I've talked to a bunch of the higher ups, but I like the fact that you jumped in. But yes, take your time. Please don't get burned out.
I recommend all of our newer Masons.
Don't let him get burned out.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones for sure. But it took me, was it 9.5 years now, something like that, and I'm master this year. But I took my time too. Ritual terrifies me. I don't like being in front of people, so this makes total sense. But I tell our guys coming in, spend a year in Blue Lodge. Just you don't have to do anything. Spend a year, get your feet under you, get comfortable with it, and don't be afraid to tell your lodge what you need from it. Yeah.
They're not going to know unless you talk to them.
Right.
Communication is the key.
Yeah.
If you don't tell them what you need and they don't tell you what you need, and you guys come together, how's anything ever going to get done?
Right.
So I like your philosophy on that.
And that's just me. That seems to be what's fitting our lodge good right now, and that'll probably change as time goes on.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I didn't like being in front of people, which really sounds strange when you look at it. I was 20 years Marine Corps, and my last 7.5, I was the chief warrant officer, so I was in front of the troops a lot, but they were my troops. So it was different.
Right.
And so when
It's
I
a
came
situation
into the
you were
lodge,
comfortable with.
yeah, that's right. When I came in the lodge, then became DDGM. Now here I am going to all the different lodges in the district, which I'd visited before, so I knew them, but it's going to those, and then it's like, okay, now I'm supposed to be representing the worshipful master. And most worshipfuls, the edicts out, and I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to tell each lodge. And it was nerve-wracking. I put more pressure on myself than I probably should have, but I didn't want to falter. And so that's why if you take your time and you get in and you feel comfortable before you jump into all the committees, I think that's a better way to do it, because it does kind of give you a chance to breathe as you get into masonry without getting burned out.
Well, and I think it really points to one of the great things about Masonry is you didn't join to learn to be a better public speaker. You didn't join to learn to be a better leader. That just happens to be one of the side effects.
Yep.
And we hear that time and time again about how we better ourselves kind of accidentally while we're trying to better ourselves in other ways.
So the motto of Mason is, we take good men and make them better, right? You saying that, I never really thought about that. But that's a good way when people say, well, how do you make good men better? Well, you get these types of skills. I know that that's the thing for the youth, the DMLA, Job's Daughters, and Marble Girls. That's what they teach them. Never really thought about that with Masonry, so I like it. That's a good way for me to explain to people, what do you mean by that? Well, what do you not like doing? Oh, really? Masonry can help you out with that, because there's this part.
Oh,
I like that.
even historically, with Masonry, at the root of our organization, Masonry grew out of the Stonemasons Working Guild in a time where education wasn't a premium.
Right.
True.
The Masons taught their members to read, to write, to work with numbers, to be a master at Masonry. They had to have these other skills, and there were no public schools. There were no minimal schools. They came to their trade guilds to learn those skills. And the second degree, we're always talking about all of the things we're to study. In ancient times, that was very much more of a real thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Not as much symbolic as we are today, where most people come into Masonry being literate, knowing, basic math skills. That wasn't the way it was when Masonry started.
Sure. And one of the strong points in that education and making good men better is that we're doing it with each other. We're on the same journey, and we're interacting, and you're calling me out on my flaws. You're with words of encouragement, but we're making sure that we're both working towards the perfect aspect.
Everyone has different skills, and everyone can learn from everyone else.
And you're never going to stop learning.
Right.
If you ever stop learning,
Yeah.
there's something wrong.
Problems, yeah.
There's something wrong. And I think y'all would have to agree, when it comes to Masonry, you're never going to know everything.
No.
You'll never, ever, and
No.
you don't have enough lifetime to know everything there is about Masonry. So that's a good thing,
Yep.
in my opinion, is that, because I like learning things. My girlfriends all the time, she'd say, you Google everything. I like having knowledge of it. So it doesn't matter what it is. I like to know things.
We were just talking last night. If there's ever a Jeopardy for useless knowledge, I'm probably going to win that.
I know some people.
Let's sit down and chat, because I'm the same way. People will bring something up and be like, I read somewhere about
Yep.
this. And the girl was like, course you would know that.
Like, there's no reason to know any of that stuff, but it's up there.
I've got people that think I'm just incredible at knowledge and is trivial, worthless knowledge. And I sat down with my wife playing Trivial Pursuits and got humbled. Yeah.
Bobby's brilliant.
But, it's like, I had no idea that the Wookiees all came from Kashyyyk. Not a chance. Yeah.
You didn't know that? I thought everyone knew that.
And I'm a nerd. I like all of that. What is that? It's all Star Wars stuff. And it's like,
TJ's over there saying, I knew that.
there's a whole other level beyond what I knew, And like I say, I know more worthless knowledge than even I understand why I would know that,
All right. So how are we sitting on time? You guys are doing when are you doing the pin?
11 o'clock. We do.
All right.
50-year
Well,
50 year.
do you guys have any upcoming events you want to let anybody know about?
Let everybody know about that breakfast. When is the breakfast? How can we get people down to this breakfast?
Our breakfast is the third Saturday of every month. And it's from 7 in the morning till 10 in the morning. $5 donation, all you can eat. Come on down and have a good time.
Great food
Eggs
fellowship.
Eggs cooked to order, bacon.
Biscuits and gravy, bacon, sausage,
Jeffrey-
Grits.
Jeffrey
Yeah,
makes sure we
definitely
get
grits.
being a Georgia boy. Yeah.
Southern style food.
If you're Southern enough, it's essential,
You wanted us to talk about that. You all had breakfast. What did you think?
Oh, it was
of the
excellent.
breakfast?
Excellent. I loved it. That's the second time it is. It's really good food. It's a really good deal. But the fellowship, watching you guys work together, you can tell the brotherhood, the way you guys are interacting with each other and with the people coming in. It was a joy to watch.
Yeah, we're pretty tight. I mean, it's basically the same people doing up here on the third Saturdays. We try to get other people involved, and we have, but it's a lot of fun. And to me, and from what we have heard from other people, the show that people coming in get of us having fun with each other is worth the $5 because we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun.
Brother Jake.
Yeah. And then he was calm today, so
He was. Jacobs was calm. He only hollered out one time for pancakes. Somebody didn't claim. So he's like, he will find out who ordered the pancake.
And I asked what you guys thought of the breakfast because I like to know on something we can maybe improve on. If something maybe wasn't cooked right, overdone, underdone, whatever, we've tried to think of a better way to do this system versus just standing in line and going down because it's basically like a buffet style where it's cooked in front of you. We can't think of a better way.
No, I think it was smooth. It was fast. The food was great.
Darn. So I was hoping he was going to say the eggs were horrible and I quit doing them.
No, the eggs were probably the best part of the whole breakfast, I think.
I thought it was great. I have nothing to tell you guys to improve on. I thought it was great.
We do the third Saturday in December, our breakfast, we theme it with, the last couple of years, it's been Breakfast with the Grinch. Rainbow Girls organize a little more decorations, and we bring in a fellow in a Grinch suit, and occasionally as well as Santa. And
well, then that's one thing we used to do for quite a few years at our breakfast. We adopt a family every year.
Bring them in as well.
We bring them in on our breakfast in December. And we'll have Santa up here. Sometimes we've had them downstairs. And then that way the family can get their presents from us. And majority of it is for the kids, but we try to adopt families that are in need.
Sure.
Don't need a handout, just need a little hand up.
Right.
I know that one year was a fellow Marine that had lost his job and everything, and we found, I don't remember exactly how we found that family, but it was awesome. I mean, to see him get teary-eyed for what we did, it's like, we're doing the right thing. This is what Masonry is about, is us helping others.
Yeah.
And if people non-Masons could get that through their head, that we're no different than the eagles, the elks, everything else, they would get it. But they just don't because they think, oh, you got these secrets. No, we have secrets for not because we don't want you to know them, just so we know who is a Mason.
Yep.
You know, it goes back to ancient times. Is all it is.
Yep.
And they're like, well, you got all. I was like, you guys got no clue. I was like, I can inform you, and if you actually came through and thought about it and listened to what was being said, you'd realize these secrets ain't nothing but trust issues.
And if you knew the secrets, you'd be sorely disappointed.
I got friends of mine all the time where they give me crap, and he's a good buddy of mine. He wants to join at some point, but he's like, Ed, has got a lot going on. But he's always giving me crap. Going, where's the gold at?
That was actually in my investigation committee. I
Yeah.
mentioned the curse of Oak Island, and so.
I can tell you, well, I'd rather you find out for yourself.
Right.
Let me know when you're ready. Is there gold?
Not anymore.
Let's see, other than that, our regular meeting is every first and third Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock. We do a dinner at 6 beforehand for fellowship.
Okay.
The Grand Lodge of Missouri is doing the Masonic service days, doing them by region. Our region is going to be July 12th. We're going to go out and do some good service in the community and let them see Masons actually out doing work in an organized manner. And I was going to say, other than that, I'm not sure what else is going on regionally.
And then you have a Facebook page. I know that I'm linked up with those.
About 1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we have a golf tournament.
And yeah, we've got the golf tournament September 6th.
Okay, so we'll make sure to get links to all that on our Facebook.
Yeah. Send me some links. We'll get them out on our socials. We'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah, we're working on.
He's the computer savvy guy, like you said. So let him do it.
He's my computer savvy guy.
Yeah, I run
Right.
Facebook and the golf tournament.
Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, so much for the hospitality. We're going to
you for
leave you
coming.
with a couple of things. And the only other question I have is, who's going to help me load that Blackstone in the car?
I don't know. We don't know who won.
But, all right. Thank you guys for joining us. Come visit Belton Lodge. If you're in town or in town on vacation or something, live close enough, swing by and check it out. Great guys. We'll see you next time.
Demonstrate that love never ends through the commitment to support past and present service members, the communities that surround them, and the loved ones of those whom we will never forget. Visit deganpage.org for more information.
When it comes to something as important as insurance, it's imperative that you work with an agency who has an in-depth knowledge of multiple insurance products, companies, and guidelines, not just one. We are completely independent agents, and we work for your best interests. We are Mason-friendly. We have locations in Fremont and Elkhorn. We provide policies for virtually all of your personal and commercial needs, including health and dental. Visit our website at www.theinsurancecenterinc.com. We're available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.